Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so glad to be with you for What's on West Midlands with Philip Solomon. That is me, and I am your presenter, your host for this show. And what we've been trying to do over the last 3 months is come up with some very interesting places that you could go to. I sort of pick things that I think might be of interest to you, and you might like to go along and enjoy. But I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we think we're going to change the direction of this show very shortly, and it will be once a month rather than once a week, and much more an in-depth, much longer show, really, very similar to the radio shows that you may have heard me doing over the years on Wolverhampton City Radio, BBC, pardon me, Plug City Radio. Much more like a radio show with wonderful guests and a lot more interesting. I've enjoyed picking places for you to go, and I'm going to continue to do that. And that's what we're going to do this evening. But I just thought I'd let you know that we're looking in a sort of different direction. But what have I come up with? What have I picked up for you that I think might be of interest to you for this weekend and going into next week? Irish Festival set for an autumn return to Digbeth. I always love this. Birmingham music venue, Norton's Digbeth, will next month, well, this month actually, of course, mark the halfway point to National Irish Holiday, St. Patrick's Day, with a lively programme of music and culture. And just lots of fun, really. This special event titled Halfway Fest, well, it is halfway to St. Patrick's Day, isn't it? Uh, and featuring the live music that well, you'll absolutely love it, wonderful, and comedy, lots of comedy, lots of creamy points, and I can't really something like to advertise specific ones, but I think you know the point that that those of us with some Irish descent, and certainly those who are Irish, really love. And it's got the crack, as we say, it's got the crack. This takes place from Wednesday the 17th to Saturday the 20th of September. So it's right now, next week, this weekend, 17th coming up, right through to the 20th, and you're really going to enjoy. It's going to be fantastic. Bring the festival to a close. Well, I'm going to leave that as a bit of surprise for you, but there is something very special that closes the show, and it'd be great fun. Be great fun. Go to that. You'll really enjoy it. Now, I think I've always said my favourite theatre has always been the Alexandra Theatre at Birmingham. Um, I don't seem to be having the close links with them that I used to have, but it's still my favourite theatre. And they've got the fantastic film, The Bodyguard, and that starts from 20th of September to the 27th. So you've got a little bit of time to book up for that. Pardon me. And of course, it's a great musical, isn't it? The Bodyguard. And you will know what it's based on without me going into too much detail. That will be a super, super event at the wonderful Alexandra Theatre. And really one of my, probably was my, it probably still is my favourite theatre. If you're looking for something a little bit different, this might be of interest to you. Inspector Morse, House of Ghosts. And that's on at the Rep up until, well, it's on now, but it carries on till the 40th of September, so you haven't got very long to go and see it. But author Colin Dexter's crossword solving program, supplying classical music, loving Oxford detective, is back in business, this time on the stage. On the back of a series of well-received novels, Morse becomes a household name in the 1980s and 90s, courtesy of actor John Thor, who played him in 33 feature-length television episodes. You can't believe that, can you? Spin-off show, well, lots of them really that I could say we go out into too much detail. But this brand new stage adaptation based on an original story finds Morse investigating the on-stage death of a beautiful young actress and the process of uncovering and a connection to a very sinister events will have you sitting on the very edge of your seats. Now that's another place that I love. It's on at the Rep, but you got to be quick because it's been on now for a month really, and it finishes the last one Sunday the 14th of September. You can absolutely love that if you can get along to it. That will be great. Well, as I say, you seem to be very pleased with the things that I'm suggesting from the emails and messages that you're sending me. So we must be doing something something correct, I hope. Right, this is a little bit, I don't know how to quite put it. I like to really have it as it's right there, but this is actually on the 20th of September. But I've explained the way we're changing the show, so I thought I'd get this one in and tell you something that I think would be very interesting to you. Do you love reggae, ska music, scatterlight, all that sort of stuff? Do you remember Bad Manners, The Beat, Lobster, all those people? Well, at the Town Hall, Birmingham, 7:30, 20th of September, you've got that show on there. It's called A Night of Ska. Now, if you don't know what ska it is, it's what a lot of people sort of described a certain type of music, very reggae based or out of scatterlight, all that sort of stuff. But if you're around in those era and you love that sort of music, and who doesn't, well, really will be absolutely fantastic. A night of ska, and you've got Bad Manners. I'll be on the show. You've got The Beat featuring Rankin Jr. and you've got Lobster. So you've got some big names if you understand that music. I must emphasise that this is over 18. You can't attend this unless you're over 18. But I think a lot of people will be sort of remembering that music and I love reggae. I was a massive, massive fan of reggae. I thought it was great. And, right from the very early days, Prince Buster and all those sort of people, and, Bob Marley, I suppose, in more recent years. That will be a great night. A night of ska, and that's presented by B Music, and it's on at the Town Hall, Birmingham, 7:30, 20th of September, 2025, of course, emphasising you've got to be over 18 to go to that one. That would be good. I think that would be a nice one that I've come up for you that you might enjoy. There's another very interesting event coming up that I caught my interest, and I think it might yours as well. It's called Come As You Really Are. And it's on at Wolverhampton Art Gallery until, well, it's right through to to sometime in October, but it's on now if you want to go and see it. Come As You Really Are. Award-winning artist Helen Patel's exhibition, Come As You Really Are, is a joyous celebration of local hobbies, creativity, and passion, featuring objects crafted, modelled, or collected by hobbyists based in the West Midlands and beyond. On display are items uniquely crafted by people who can do crochet work, needlework, knitters, woodcutters, wood turners, model makers. Just so many things that I could, it's a massive thing that's going on there. Really interested. And as I understand that, you'll have to check that. I only find these events where you've got to check on prices, but I think that's free admission and that's on at Wolverhampton Art Gallery. If you do go to that, do spend a little bit of time as well, or set time aside to have a look around the gallery because it's one of the best, certainly one of the best art galleries in the country. And we're very, very proud of Wolverhampton Art Gallery in my hometown. So get along and check that one. And as they say, come as you really are. That's what it's called. I think that'll be a lot of fun, that, and I think that would be something that you'd really enjoy. Staying in Wolverhampton on Sunday the 14th, that's almost upon us, isn't it? You've got the greatest love of all. That's a lovely, lovely musical, really, and of course it's a wonderful theatre, isn't it? The Grand. Oh, I think anybody who's ever played there, which I have, I worked on there, did my show with my mediumship work, and it was really, really lovely. And I think it was one of the nicest theatres that I ever did that sort of work in. Not just because it's my hometown theatre, but a very, very wonderful atmosphere. That's on Sunday the 14th of September then, so you got to be quick. Some of those things you're going to cross over. You can't go to get all of them, of course, can you? But you'll enjoy that if you do. And if you tell them that I recommended it, they might even charge you a little bit more to go in. I'm silly, aren't I? But very, very nice that would be. You'd enjoy that. I'm going to break off from talking about things that I've found for you that I think you'll enjoy to talk a little bit about the music scene. I used to love JB's over Dudley. If you were a certain age, you remember JB's over Dudley. All the famous pop artists and rock artists appeared there, and everybody really, I could reel off loads of names, certainly the local bands, but few and far afield as well. I remember Thin Lizzy being there, Robert Plant, and what was his early band called? Band of Joy. I think they were. So I remember seeing them there, and well, loads of people really, and major stars. And it was a wonderful venue. Unfortunately, not with us anymore. But what I would like to say is we've got two very similar type of venues, different, but sort of the same energy, if you like. And that's of course the wonderful Robin Two, which is one of my favourite nightclubs, and I've appeared there several times, and always had a great relationship with the club. I know the owner very well and the former owner. And I mean, you've had legends there. You've had a Rolling Stone. You've had one of the Zombies. You've had think of all the Rolling Stones members of that band. You've had some incredible artists walk on that stage at the Robin Show, including yours truly, of course. And yeah, excuse me. These lights are very hot, in my little studio, but we have to have them to, get the thing to look as it needs to look. Otherwise, we'd struggle a bit with it, wouldn't we? But it's always a great night. They've also been concentrated on at the Robin a lot over the last couple of years, is having some of the very best tributes on down there. They have a fantastic tribute to the Rolling Stones, Meatloaf, or I think he goes as Mate Loaf. That's very Midlands, that is, isn't it? Black Mate Loaf. But they've found some sensational artists. And I always remember saying to the old owner, who was a very, very good family friend of mine, Mike, I couldn't be bothered watching tributes. So, I want to only see the real thing. And he says to me, well, you want to think about that, Philip, because what chance would you have of regularly having the opportunity to see somebody like the Rolling Stones or the Beatles, or two of them have all gone, haven't they? And or people like that of that nature. And tributes do fulfill a very, very wonderful, good role. One tribute, while I'm talking about that I will thoroughly recommend to you. It's a good friend of mine, Dalian's, and it's a tribute that's done to, well, T-Rex and the wonderful Mark Bolan. And Dalian's, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I wonder if it is Mark Bolan, he's that good. And that applies to a lot of those tributes. They're very, 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 very good indeed. So I was really, I suppose, not rather thinking things out the way I should do, as me saying, oh, I'm only going to go and see these big bands. Because some of the tributes are very, very good, and they have a lot of those on at the Robbie. Another place, not very far away, again in Wolverhampton, KK Downing's Steel Mill. That, if you like your rock and your heavy metal, they have some wonderful bands on there, and very welcoming club as well. And sometimes KK is up there. I'll play himself, as part of his band. I think it's called KK's Priest, if I recall. But not just that, they have all sorts of rock and metal bands on there. And if you're into that sort of music, you'd have a job to find a better venue. And as I say, it's got a very nice energy. Some very nice people there at the steel mill. And yeah, I like that venue. It's really sort of very proper, what you might call a rock venue. It has that vibe if you're into that sort of music. We met with KK down in, of course, he was in Judas Priest, wasn't he? The original Judas Priest band with Rob Halford and all the rest of the gang in there. And what can you say? They're absolutely great, and they're a good place to go. But going back to places I'm recommending for this month on this show that I've sort of found out for you that I think might be of interest to you in looking into. I hope so. Anyway, I'm doing my best to come up with different things. A lot of people sent me messages after the last show and saying, well, there's a lot carries on over from the first show. And I think you've got a point there. I think this really is or should be a monthly show because a lot of things will cross over and it's the same shows. And I'm sure you don't want to hear me going on and on recommending this one and recommending that one when maybe you want to, think about something different or hear about something different. Anyway, I'm going to cross over a little bit now because I must really mention it. Ozzy Osbourne's working class hero, and you can still see that at Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery until the 28th of September. I think Ozzy is proof that no matter where you start in life, if you've got passion, grit, and a lot of drive, might be a bit of madness, you could achieve anything really. Because, we really, lad who come from very working class backgrounds, and I can remember some of his very early days before, the wonderful success of Black Sabbath. I can remember him before that. But what a wonderful band. And I'm sure many would say that they were the start of, you know, sort of heavy metal, heavy rock as we know it. I might have a little bit of a difference in opinion on that because I'm very much a fan of the Kinks, which is a generation before, I know. But I do believe that the way Dave Davies put down some of those guitar licks, like You Really Got Me and All Day and All of the Night and all those songs, he created music, didn't he? And I remember interviewing him, and I've become friends with him since. But I remember interviewing him, well, except twice really, and he explained how he'd got that sound and what he'd done. He'd got just a normal electric guitar, a little small amplifier, but he'd linked them up to three other amplifiers. And the one that was the final drive, he'd cut the speakers in it in the little one he'd plugging into to go through the others. If that makes sense to you, don't worry if it don't. But he sort of cut it with a razor blade, and then he got that sort of sound that I think was the start of heavy rock and certainly heavy metal. But there you go, that's just my opinion. But like I say, a life we lost Ozzy recently, didn't we? But I think it just shows what you can achieve in your life if you really work at it and you keep at it, because you come from very ordinary background, and you can achieve extraordinary. Sharon Osbourne, celebrity wife of the heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne, last month made a final appearance with Black Sabbath. Now, she's a very interesting lady, Sharon Osbourne. Her dad was Don Harden, who my father knew quite well, and a very famous promoter of his own right. And Sharon, I would say, in my humble opinion, I think she saved Ozzy really, and rebuilt him, recreated him as a performing artist, because I think it would be fair to say that he was not finding it easy in those days till Sharon come along and made everything happen. In a fanfare of publicity, the band played at Villa Park a few weeks ago, and that was to prove to be his last performance, wasn't it? And in doing so, returned, of course, to his hometown of Ashton, the Birmingham district in which they kick-started their illustrious career way back in the late 1960s. Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery exhibition, free. I emphasise free to enter for this. You've got to go and see it. If you love your rock music, if you love Black Sabbath, you love Ozzy, if you just love that type of music, I'm very much a big fan of Judas Priest. Now, I'm sure if I've never interviewed Rob, but I've interviewed members of the band, and I think they would tell you the massive influence that Black Sabbath and Ozzy had on them. But there's not much to get these days. They take those to find things that are free. And it showcases Ozzy's most prestigious international honours, presenting them alongside photographs and videos that chart his journey from a working class kid to an absolutely massive global rock legend. This exhibition is a thank you to the fans and the city of Birmingham, for doing what they did to put this on. And, really, I know I'm going on a little bit, but I think we really should have massive thanks to Sharon as well for getting this sorted out and getting this on. And if you come from the West Midlands, if you haven't seen it, you're going to want to go and see it. And, after the 28th of September, you can't. So go and see it. Ozzy Osbourne, working class hero. Well, I'm running out of recommendations now, really. After that, I give that bit of a big build-up, didn't I? But I'm sure you won't mind that. Right. What else can I come up with? Right. This might be of interest here at the National Museum of Art Gallery in Nuneaton, which is on our patch, not too far away. They've got a couple of things that I think you would be very interested in. An exhibition using the museum's collections to focus on how our lives are inextricably linked with animals, whether as pets, working colleagues, or food, I suppose, if you want to put it like that one. It's a fascinating exhibition, and that's until the 20th of September. And then later on in that, they've got another one called The Art of Travel with Nikki Thompson, a graphic designer, illustrator, lecturer, fine artist, and manager of a boutique design studio known as Lemon Drop. And many of you will have come across that and be aware of that. Creative Presence is contemporary travel art, and that's on until Saturday the 20th. So you can go and see both those, go and see both those exhibitions, and both excellent and ones that I'm sure that you will really enjoy. In fact, I know that you will. Right, what other things have I managed to come up for you? Oh yeah, I think this. I might have mentioned this last week, but this is until until the 16th and 17th. So put this down in your mark this one down. Oswestry Balloon Carnival 2025, featuring an array of all sorts of beautiful colours of hot air balloons, super live music, interactive displays, and much more. And that's Saturday the 16th and Sunday the 17th. And it's at the let me get this right now. The core, that's CAU Glass GLAS Park, Oswestry North. Now you have to do a bit of homework on that and find out all about it. But it is, if you've ever seen those balloon exhibitions, it's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? When you see them all going up and like as an artist, well, as an artist and any artist, I think I find it very inspiring to see them in the sky. They look absolutely wonderful, don't they? And I think that's certainly something to go along to. Now, of course, we've still got the motorhome and caravan and the camper and caravan show featuring 450 plus new and used motorhomes that you can go and look at and think whether, if that sort of life is for you. And that's Friday the 15th to Sunday the 17th at the Three Counties Showground in Malvern. You said that again. The Three Counties, you probably know it, but the Three Counties Showground in Malvern. And if you're interested in caravanning of all sorts of things or camper vans, you know I am. I've got my old VW camper van, and gosh, I've had it now for about 13, 14 years. And we've also got a caravan that we keep in the country, So me and my wife are very much into all that sort of life. And it can be very good value. It can be very good value to do different things and go along and see these things, and maybe sort of, be inspired to think about having a camper van or a caravan or a caravan home. If you can afford it, I would personally very much recommend it. But another very interesting one that you might like to go and have a look at. It's called Different View, Women Artists in the Collection. The first survey of women artists in the gallery's collection, bringing together the work of over 50 painters, sculptors and photographers. And that's on at I think that's on the, I've not wrote them where that's down there, so you'll have to do a bit of work on that. I do apologise. I might have it here in my notes somewhere if you just bear with me a minute. No, you'll have to look that one up. I do apologise. Very naughty of me that was, wasn't it? But I'm sure you'll find that without too much effort, really. And what else have we got? Oh, yeah, this I thought might really interest you. I know a lot of my fans, when I used to be on the Wolverhampton City radio, were very interested in anything sort of to do with, the First World War, the Second World War, and what they wore and all the times and that. And there's a 1940s weekend featuring reenactments of all sorts of things of what happened in those days, promenaders, vintage traders, military vehicles, and wow, oh, massive entertainment. And that's Saturday and Sunday, the 20th. I think you might find that might have finished. Now, this is where they cross over. You'll have to double check that. I think that might have been one that I've picked up for you, and mine now have finished. So you have to check that one for yourself. I'll look out for them for you for a month, and I'll see what I can come up with. But it's never very easy to remember if somebody crosses over. And basically, that's about it, really. I mean, you've still got everything on all the wonderful theatres. You've got the Garrick at Lichfield. They'll have great stuff on. I'll tell you a lovely little theatre that I love. The Theatre on the Steps at Bridge North. Most of you have been to Bridge North, I suppose. And if you know where the little funicular station is, it's just before you get to that, really. You can walk down instead of going on that, down the steps. And halfway down, there's a theatre called the Little Theatre on the Steps. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. That's some wonderful sort of things going on there that I'm sure you'll find interesting. Well, as I said, we're going to sort of change the show, I think, and concentrate really on seeing who wants things promoted as well, really, rather than me just sitting here and sort of picking things that I think that you would enjoy and you'd like. I enjoy doing that, and you seem to think that I'll come up with some interesting things for you to do over the weekend and the following week. But as I say, I think we're going to turn it more into a monthly show and much longer, a bit like my radio shows have been in the past, and get a lot of interviews in as well. I think that would be nice to do, and I hope you would be supportive of that and join me once a month because I think that's the direction that we'll be going, and it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be lots of fun, but it wouldn't be the same if you weren't with me. It just wouldn't be the same. Going to finish then, as I always say, be good. But if you can't be good, for goodness gracious sake, be very careful. All right. Bye bye then. And I'll see you very shortly. Bye bye. Take care.